This is E-Commerce Uncensored. Brought to you by Fast Forward. We're coming to you fully loaded and exposed with all the strategies and techniques for growing your e-commerce business.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of E-Commerce Uncensored. This is episode number 160. My name's Kevin Manell, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso.
I don't know what it is. My headphones sound weird, like fuzzy or something.
Today's the first official day without Paulie Chu.
Yeah, Paulie Chu left on Friday to his new job in the city.
And you cried, right?
Yeah, I was sobbing, actually, when I left.
Yeah.
It was uncontrollable sobbing.
He texted me saying how weird it was, and I'm like...
It's not. I mean, I've been working next to the guy for 6 years.
And I've been with him for 5.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of... I wasn't, like, sad crying. It was just, like, an interesting thing that, you're basically not going to see the guy again. So, it's one of those things. But,
yeah.
I put a social post up on Instagram on Friday that night, and he like texted me. He's like, I don't even remember what you texted me, but it's something.
You okay?
Kind of busting my balls.
Right.
Like, it was just nice. I put a picture of it. You saw it, right, Jen? I put a picture.
Right.
It was just a nice thing, I thought.
Anyway,
after a guy's here for 6 years.
So today
just because you have no heart doesn't mean everybody else doesn't have to have a fucking heart.
Yeah. Anyway, today what we're going to be talking about is something that I didn't think we were going to go to, but I think it's very important that we do.
I didn't think we were going to have to, because I didn't think it was going to turn into something like this.
Yeah, and it's not going to be evergreen, but the concept of the episode will be evergreen. And basically that is going to be about the coronavirus and how it's affecting or not affecting, in other cases, people's businesses.
Just like life events like this that happen in the world that just affect economy and things like that.
Yeah, and it just came out of nowhere. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we're seeing and some of the things that you should be preparing for in times like these,
right? Where
the world is completely going nuts. And the truth is, people aren't buying as much as they used to.
Right.
But before we do, we got to talk about Klaviyo. And they're actually a big part of today's episode.
Yeah. And we were in it deep over the weekend, Jason and I, and we were just looking at, and I was kind of amazed, because once you start looking in and you're trying to dive deep into the analytics and the data of your customer list, it's crazy the amount of things you could do with Klaviyo.
Yeah.
The pull where they came from, where they're from, and all this really important data that will help you track down how people are coming into your list in the first place.
Yeah, we were trying to specifically figure out where were people's first touch point, because we were trying to determine whether or not we should start doing a new Facebook ad strategy. And we were trying to determine how people were coming into the list. And so, yeah, we were using segments to say, okay, did they come in through the ad first? Did they come in through, did they buy first? How exactly did they come? So we were able to do that with the segmentation.
And the way the marketing is now is with all the multi-channel stuff going on. It's very hard sometimes to pull that all together. So, and Klaviyo allows you to do that. So you got to go check out Klaviyo. Go to klaviyo.com/uncensored. They have a free account up to 250 subscribers.
Yeah, you can sign up for free. With. Yeah, exactly. You got to check them out. I mean, we love Klaviyo. Like any other platform, they're not perfect. There are some things, but they are. One thing I will say about Klaviyo, because we know these guys personally, they are passionate about making their platform the best.
Yep.
I mean, they're to a point where when we go there, they're like, they sit down with you and write down every little thing that you tell them.
The data scientists got their little notepads.
Oh man, they're awesome. And they're great guys too.
That's klaviyo.com/uncensored. And next is Brex. And that's brex.com, brex.com. And they're a perfect solution to all your cash flow problems.
Yeah, and this is somebody that, quite honestly, we reached out to because, when you start scaling your Facebook ads, it becomes very difficult to keep up with cash flow.
Yeah.
Right? Because we were spending almost $3,000 a day, and that money doesn't go into the account at that quickly.
Right.
It takes a few days to get in there, so you need some float money.
Right. You got your Facebook ads, you got your inventory, you got your shipping in some cases, and you got all these things. Stripe, Stripe doesn't go into your account right away. PayPal doesn't transfer right away. So Brex is perfect. They're designed specifically for e-commerce.
Right, and it's basically like a credit line, but in a credit card, right? And they give you 60 days. They give you 60 days interest-free to pay the thing off.
From every time you borrow, though. It's not like an introductory rate. Every time you borrow money on this credit card, you get 60 days interest-free to pay it off. So it's awesome.
Which is awesome.
So go to Brex.com and sign up. Go through their application process and use promo code Uncensored during that process, and they'll give you $250 when you spend $1,000.
Yeah. And I'm going to throw in our Facebook course because we're getting a lot of people signing up for this thing.
Yeah.
And the course is called The Truth About Facebook Ads. And I purposely titled it that because so many of you guys are, every time I'm looking on Facebook, I see a post. My ads aren't working. Please help. I've been running ads for a month. I can't get any sales. Please help. And everybody thinks it's their ads. And we decided that we should create a course, especially after the success we were having with our new brand, right? In 6 months, last month we did $122,000 in sales right from Facebook and Klaviyo kind of together. Mm-hmm. And we thought it was a good time because we've been running Facebook ads for our clients, but we really haven't been doing it for ourselves until we got into this business. And there are some things that we want to set straight. And we're going to be doing that. In fact, after this podcast, I'm going to be recording the course. If you go to ecommerceuncensored.com/truth, you can sign up, and anybody who signs up on this list will get 50% off the course. And if you've been struggling with ads, if you can't get your Facebook ads to work like most people, I don't care if this is like your last dollar, you need to invest in this course because this is not like a guru course. This is like, I'm going to show you exactly what you've been doing wrong.
Yeah, real experience type stuff, which is cool.
So definitely sign up. Now, coronavirus and the economy and things going on in the world.
And I've been trying to fight it, man. I really have, because I can't wrap my head around the insanity that happens when these media things come out and the news and government stuff, all that happens. Everybody freaks out.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, like, I was talking to my wife about this, right? We just have he's going to be 2 weeks old tomorrow.
Isn't that insane?
It's crazy. Yeah. 2 weeks. Like, really.
I was on the phone with you yesterday. I heard him crying in the background. I was like, I don't miss that.
Well, because when my wife changes him, he just freaks out.
Yeah.
But, so I've been in the house, and I've come to the office a couple days, and I've been to the hospital. Like, I really haven't gone anywhere. And anywhere that I've gone, it's like I go to like the ShopRite and they bring my groceries to the car. I just open up the back and he puts them in and then I close it and I leave. So I really haven't been like out and about. And I used to be a big news guy, but like I just found that it was driving me crazy just listening to the news. Like every day I was like a big news guy, and I don't even watch the news anymore. My whole point to the whole story is I don't really see this happening, but it's happening.
Yeah, maybe because I'm not paying attention and I don't really care that much.
People are freaking out.
People are nuts.
They are nuts. And last year when everybody was dying from the flu, I was freaking out because my son would come home, and I'm just not freaking out this time around because I look at, like, my wife, she's like, a person in Ulster County got the coronavirus. I'm like, Jessica, that's one friggin' person. It's not everybody.
By now, it's 500 people have gotten this. We have 350 million people in the country.
Right. And billions of people in the world. And there's a very small portion of those people that are getting it. And the best part is kids are not even dying from it.
No.
It's just old people.
And 80% of the people who get it, it's a very mild thing. Like, it's not even a big deal when they get it.
Right. And so you're only hearing about the 20% of the people who are really getting affected by it.
It really makes me second guess just people in general. But
Well,
it is. We're actually seeing it clearly affecting things.
Yeah, well, and what's interesting and what we're going to talk about, Kevin and I had a little fight this morning because one of our brands is an older demographic and is getting hit hard with coronavirus. Another, I'm not saying we only have two, but another one of our brands is a younger demographic, not typically a news demographic, and they're not getting hit at all. In fact, their sales are up. Now, the fight that Kevin and I had this morning was maybe even though their sales are up, maybe they could be better.
Right.
And I think that you're right. They probably would be better. But it's not affecting them like it's affecting some of our other brands. And I think, personally, it's a demo thing, and you think it's an anomaly.
Well, I do think it's affecting it. I think 100% because there's been, even though the numbers have been good for this specific client.
They've been more than good. They've been double or triple what they've normally been.
Yeah. But like you said, I think they could be better because I think everything right now in the economy, 100%, every brand is being affected by this because people are afraid to go outside their house. People are afraid to go to the Apple store. People are afraid to go to the mall in general just because they feel like there's this crazy outbreak happening. And as crazy as that sounds to me, and maybe some people out listening think I'm nuts for not being scared, I just feel like I can't let things that I can't control affect me that much. I mean, wash your hands, and because I feel like sometimes this is what the media wants to happen. A lot of times they want us to get freaked out.
Yeah.
And I just can't bring myself to that's kind of their winning essentially at this point. I don't want that to happen.
And the other thing is I look at my buying patterns, they haven't changed.
No.
But you're saying your wife is freaking out.
She's freaking out not because of the illness itself. She's not afraid to get it or afraid. She's not even afraid for her parents are older. She's not really afraid that they're going to they're freaking out because they're, older and they're scared to go out. But she's not afraid of that. She's afraid of the potential economy shift that this is having on our world right now and how it affects everyone 100%. That people will not go to the store and buy things. And we're noticing that there's a similar pattern happening online. Even though people don't have to go out, they can still buy online, but they're being affected on the backside of things. How, Apple and Google and Facebook and Amazon all their stocks are dropping, which is causing all their retirements to drop, right?
Yeah, and I think that's why I think you just made my case for me that the older demo is being affected by this because they can die from coronavirus. They could lose their savings. They can lose their 401k. They can lose all these things where the younger demo is not so much thinking about that. That's my theory.
Yeah, but I don't think, I think you're just saying they're the people that are affected and everybody else is not.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying
the older people are affected maybe more, like you said, because they can die and their retirements are. But it's to the point. The point of this podcast is the fact that
what should you do when this kind of stuff happens?
How do you handle it when you see things trending down in certain ways like this?
And one of the things that we've really, so we have this Facebook. I'm going to just talk about it because we have this Facebook course that we keep talking about. If you go to ecommerceuncensored.com/truth, you can sign up for 50%.
Shameless plug.
Right. But we have this course going on. And of course, we're bullish on Facebook ads, but we are equally as bullish on email. And what this corona craziness has taught us, not taught us, but it's just reiterated that you must be diversified, right? The client or the account that's being affected most by the corona outbreak because of the older demographic, email is actually still working really well.
Right.
The Facebook ads have kind of taken a little bit of a hit. The client who is killing it on Facebook, their email isn't really doing that great.
Yeah, because email kind of took a second or a back seat to this. while
Email
this
took
is
a back
running, 'cause
seat.
This continues to do well.
Right. So the point is not whether or not Facebook is going to work or email is going to work. It's that they are all going to go through their cycles regardless of what's going on. And the only way to really protect yourself is by being diverse, is by having multiple streams of income.
Well, I think the real concept of the course, I hate to keep going back to the course because it seems like we're trying to sell it like crazy, but it's always going to be the offer, right? We talk about it. We've talked about it the last however many podcasts, how important the offer is and making it irresistible. But then there's a fact of like getting eyes on that offer in as many ways as you can.
Well, if you have an offer, an irresistible offer, which we are going to go through in detail. In fact, that may be that's what I'm planning on recording today. If you have an irresistible offer, and I have some examples, and then all of a sudden it stops working, that irresistible offer, it's really easy to start second guessing the offer and start saying, oh, maybe the offer is not good. Maybe I need to fix the landing page. Maybe I need to fix this. Maybe I need to when really it could just be something going on in the marketplace.
Right.
And that is the case for one of our brands. Is the Corona thing is affecting that brand a lot, but it's affecting it on one of our platforms, but the other platform, which is email, it's not affecting.
Right.
Right?
And it's the same offer. It's the same thing that's going on. And it just proves it. And you're right. You're so right. Because every time we see some like a little downtick, we're like, what are we doing wrong? How can we change things up a little bit? And I think you just sometimes have to say, wait, it doesn't always have to come back to what you're doing wrong. It may, like you said, just something on the outside affecting things. And it's like, it hurts me to say this because I can't believe that it's having this kind of effect on things like it is.
But it is.
Right.
I mean, let's take the older demo, for example. Okay? This is just how I'm looking at it. You disagree a little bit, I think. You got an older demographic who is living on a fixed income, who has a lot of stocks, who has a lot of their income tied up in retirements, and who has a lot of their in their savings and in that kind of stuff, okay? I just played golf with a couple buddies of mine who lost $250,000 in the last 2 weeks, right? Now, these guys are multimillionaires. It's not really going to hurt them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they're not going to spend $1,000 on new golf clubs right now. They can afford it. It's not a matter of whether they can afford it or they can't afford it. It's just that right now, psychologically, they're taking a hit and they're just going to save the money.
They're gonna have a second thought. Like it's not like gonna be so impulsive where they're just gonna buy something. Be like,
right?
Yeah, maybe I should think about this a little bit more or do some research about it before I spend that kind of money.
Right. So in that way, it's not a matter of whether you have the money or you don't have the money. It's a matter of what your mindset is right now. Mm-hmm. And right now, the people who are thinking most about the coronavirus are older because they can die from it. Those are the people who are dying. They're 70 years old, they're 60-year-old, they're 80-year-olds. They're dying from it. They're the ones that their income is pretty much fixed. They're the ones that, don't have as much wiggle room as, say, a 35-year-old. That's how I'm looking at it. And that's why I believe personally that an older demographic, a product going to an older demographic is going to be affected more in this particular case. Doesn't mean that if there were 30 and 40-year-olds dying from a virus, that it wouldn't affect that demo at a different time.
Hey, I texted you over the weekend. I was like, the Zika virus happened 4 years ago, basically. And that was a issue with pregnant women getting bit by mosquitoes and having birth defects.
Right.
So that there is going to affect people in the age range of pregnant people, like scared to travel, scared to go out. So how that's going to affect someone different than this specific case.
Yeah, and one thing that we always do is when we have an offer that's working and it stops working, the first thing we say, because they're not all as obvious as the coronavirus, first thing we say is like, okay, what's going on? Like, for example, and I hate to use this as an example, but it is an example. Like a mass shooting or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we've seen times where like sales have dropped for a week. We're like, what's going on in the world? What's happening? Like, oh man, like there was like this big event, right? It affects things. People get distracted. People, you know, like buying your product may not be like buying soap.
Right.
You need soap every day, or you know whatever. It's your product just is a luxury.
Yeah, and I think that's probably like part of my disconnect is actually like putting myself in somebody else's shoes. And I think that's an important thing that you have to do for your own audience, your own persona that you have is, you know, you're obviously the business owner. So you're like, oh, why aren't people buying my shit? And then you got to step back and be like, okay, maybe this person has this different mindset. Try to step back and look at where they're coming from.
Yeah, so I've been home for the last couple weeks, as you know, because of the baby. And like my wife is watching Ellen DeGeneres. And literally, she turns it on, like all these like actors are coming on, and then all of a sudden, like we interrupt this, like in like 2 people in Westchester County got the coronavirus. Like, all right, are we gonna like was there anybody that got beat up? Are you gonna talk about those 2 people? How about like anybody fall and trip and stub their toe?
Right.
Like what we're gonna talk about? It's like they feed off of these news. If they don't have a major event like this happening, people don't pay attention to them.
Right.
And it's sad because it makes you think, but it does affect things. People do start getting distracted. People do get their minds in other places. So what we are finding, again, is that when you're diversified, when one of your platforms isn't working, another one can pick up the slack.
Right. And I think Klaviyo said it best, like at their conferences when they talked about like owning your customer, owning your revenue, because sometimes when you completely rely on one thing, you're not controlling it, right? Because they can we talk about it all the time. Amazon, even, Google, it can get a stick up their ass and kind of like totally screw you. So Facebook ads can work in a number of ways, and we're going to talk about this too, is like you should have a consistent email campaign running where you can fall back on when things like this happen, where you can always speak to your clients. And maybe who knows, maybe we should have a campaign that maybe mentions what's going on.
Can't.
What?
Corona is banned from Facebook ads.
No, I'm talking about email.
Oh.
Like if you wrote a message, be like, I know there's a lot of shit going on right now, and just have a personal attachment to your audience. And email gives you the ability to do that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, email, but I mean, again, we're talking more, I mean, because what about the client whose email's not working?
Right. I mean, it's both ways.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, like, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Right. Yeah. And you have to come from that standpoint. We're talking about like diversifying.
Yeah. And like, one thing that we're seeing, like one of our accounts, the Facebook ads are kind of slowing down a little bit, but we put a different offer in front of people. That's not like a buy offer. It's like a sign up offer. And that thing is killing it. And then our email is making the sales for us.
Right.
Which that's not how we were doing it. But we had to adjust our marketing a little bit because this specific brand is really being affected by Corona.
The Facebook is still a huge part of this email stuff I'm talking about, because you got to get somebody's email in the first place. So we're doubling down on the fact of, acquiring emails, because then when they're ready to buy, we'll have contact with them.
Yeah.
When this thing settles down a little bit, and we can, put that offer in front of them again.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think it's just switching things up sometimes. It's just trying new things. It's just trying to ride a wave out sometimes. There's a lot of different, I don't want to sound like you can't make sales at this point, because like I said, like there are some of our brands are killing it right now. It's just that I personally believe that different demos are going to be affected differently. And you have to have more than, one way of bringing in clients, bringing in customers, getting people to buy your product, whether it's Facebook, whether it's email. We've even talked about doing Pinterest ads, YouTube ads. it's not being so reliant on one platform. That's the idea. Even email, like not being reliant. You can't be reliant just on email. There's going to be a ceiling in which you can generate sales when you're just using email. In fact, you're probably losing half of your sales if you're just using email.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is during these times, don't get discouraged because shit like this is going to happen. I mean, the first thing we're going to start, I'm sure we're going to start seeing in some of these groups we're a part of, like, oh, Facebook ads don't work. Or what do I do? Like, it's going to happen. You just got to ride it, like you said. It'll come back around. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, you cool?
I'm good.
All right, man. So don't forget to check out Klaviyo. Big part of the conversation we had today. They're the #1 growth marketing platform specifically
And now they have SMS.
designed for e-commerce. So
Right.
you got to check them out. And the SMS thing is awesome. It's klaviyo.com/uncensored. That's KLAVIYO.com/uncensored. And then go get some money to help your cash flow at brex.com and use promo code uncensored. They're the credit card specifically designed for e-commerce.
With a 60-day float.
60-day interest free on every time you borrow from them. And you'll get $250 when you spend $1,000 when you use that promo code uncensored. That's BREX.com. I constantly do that. Anyway, all right. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been episode 160. As always, you can check us out at ecommerceuncensored.com. And we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Later.
Later.